Good morning. Hello. Hi. Sorry I'm late to practice. I promise this isn't the new normal. It's just for right now as I'm tending to more duties each morning. But that is going to change in the next 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be taking a break from practice April, the first week of April. I'm taking a week off from daily practice, and I will instead be I'll be traveling at that time. And then when I get back, then daily practice will resume, and I'll hopefully be back at 8:30 because other things will have shifted in my schedule. But I'm really glad to make it here today. And even though, I went to the chiropractor yesterday, thank you so much for your healing energy. I really appreciated it. My back is on its way to better. So I've taken a step in the right direction. And we have little Miss Lady here. She says hello. She just wants to be cuddling right now. And today we have Tara, Savior of the Scented Forest, Sangdang Nakchi, green true refuge, like the deep shadows in a sandalwood forest. That is this nature of Tara. So she's a green Tara who is like the deep shadows of a sandalwood forest. She's the savior of the scented forest. Praise her whose mudra is the triple gem, her fingers perfectly adorning her heart, centered in her hand, radiating in all directions, a wheel of shining, swirling, spiraling, brilliant light. I think that's this here. Her left hand is held at her heart in the mudra of the three gems, the enlightened ones, the Buddhas, their teachings, the Dharma, and the community of practitioners, the Sangha. This mudra is made with the thumb holding down the ring finger, and the other three fingers are extended with the palm out. So we put it at our hearts like this, like an okay sign, but not like that. But we're using the thumb to hold the finger. Put it at our hearts. This mudra represents fear not. Tara is the embodiment of the three gems. She is a perfect source of refuge. The right hand, thumb, and index finger form a circle with the fingers pointing down. Oh, this is the right hand. So the right hand, thumb, and index finger form a circle, fingers pointing down, palm out, so we're like this, is a gesture of blessings, powers, and realizations. Her hands are marked with the wheel of truth, a korlo, or wheel, one of the 32 physical marks of an enlightened being. These wheels have 1,000 luminous spokes, and they radiate waves of light throughout the entire universe. I encountered not this green form of Tara, but a white form of Tara with eyes in her hands. Sometimes the Taras have a wheel, a Dharma wheel or a korlo in their hands, or a little like sphere of light. But I've seen this before, and it's those little wheels of light within the palm that make that, bring that radiance out into the world. They're like a chakra of the palm of the hand, but it's not just a body chakra. It's a chakra that is a portal for energies to pour out into the world. It's not just of this body. It's transcendent of this body. So this is a very peaceful Tara, which is great because this whole week we've been with the kind of collection of wrathful Taras. And Natalie asks today for prayers that her allergies will stay away. She's at her in-laws and they have a dog, and it's been a little difficult. So yes, Natalie will hold that intention today, and also holding intention today for Mary Beth and anybody else who's going through it right now. But anyway, this is a nice peaceful form of Tara, in contrast to all of the wrathful forms of Tara that we've been working with this whole week. And yes, we do have chakras in our hands. It's true that we do, says Josai. And if you look at the elaborate diagrams of the Tibetan system of the body, you can see it very evidently. We have lots of chakras, much more than just the 7 of Hindu mythology or the 5 of Tibetan mythology. We actually have lots of other ones other than the famous ones. So thank you. Yeah, absolutely we do. But that said, in the West, we have a tendency to kind of selfishly interpret the chakras as being about these bodies, whereas in the Tibetan view, and I don't know so much about the Ayurvedic view, but in the Tibetan view, the chakras are also portals where other beings and energies can pour through into the world. And of course, in our temple, one of the main portals, for us that we study is the womb, and that it has a capacity to also bring forth something that was not there before into being, and the universe pouring through that portal. So all of our different body systems have these kinds of connections. And if you look at different physical systems all over the world, you'll see these. But anyway, the peaceful Tara, one of the things that's really hard sometimes for us, no, not my toes, is really learning how the energies of wrathful deities can still be considered sacred, because we think of peaceful deities as sacred. We think of, peaceful circumstances as sacred, but wrathful circumstances and wrathful deities are also sacred. And when we talk about wrathful forms of deity or wrathful deities, we're not saying they're mean or evil. We're saying they're firm. And there's, a wonderful story of the Dalai Lama, slamming his hand down on a table and speaking out against the abuses of Tantra in spiritual communities, and how it's been misused to harm people and to delude people into thinking certain things about orgasm and sexuality and coupling. And, that is, being that the Dalai Lama is Avalokiteshvara in living form, that is the manifestation of a wrathful deity. Think of like the Dalai Lama, you never think of him like getting mad or yelling or, kvetching about the neighbors or anything like, those worldly things that a lot of us experience. But when it comes to injustice, he will be firm. He will stand up. He will say, this is wrong. And that is the form of wrathful deity that we're talking about when we say wrathful. Why are people afraid of wrathful deities? Because people are afraid of the truth. And the truth sometimes hurts. The truth sometimes feels not so great to hear. The truth sometimes feels not so great to say. So we've been with that wrathful energy this whole week. I have had to be in my truth. I've had to speak up. I've had to say some things. I've had to advocate for myself. I've had to all the things that I find so difficult. I've had to do them all with all of these wrathful Taras this week. So today I'm very grateful for peaceful Sangdang Nakchi, the lady of the teakwood forest or the sandalwood forest. So now let's see what our card today is for our peaceful green Tara day. This is a working of the air and a working of the earth. Serenity. How wonderful. And this is a beautiful photo of a small temple perched above a waterfall with a prayer wheel inside of it, and the prayer wheel is being spun by the water. Do you see? And see that up above? Inside there, it might be hard to see. There's that. I'll show you here too. See that? And here. So, a farmer brings water to his garden. An arrowsmith makes arrows. Carpenters build with wood, and the wise watch their mind. Just as mountains withstand the wind, so is awareness unaffected by praise or blame. The wise embody the interior serenity of a deep, still lake. And the expanded version. Your interiority has been likened to a deep, still lake. Reflected in its waters are the moon and the stars and all the cycles of the universe. The Buddha used the word Anata to describe what she found when she awakened to full awareness. Anata means there is nothing between the lake within and the universe without. All the dreams, the desires and longing that once distracted you from the present moment are gone. All the anxieties in your mind have disappeared. Anata is the no-thingness of the mind. It is complete awareness. When you have become so attuned to the distractions of your mind that they cease to exist, you will begin to experience anatta. You will say, it feels like the I-ness about me has disappeared. There's no more I. In its place is a great lake. You will begin to dance for joy because you'll feel so free, singing, for you are radiant with light and compassion, and you will want to share the excitement that you feel. Well, let's have a weekend of that, shall we? How delightful. Let's have a weekend of serenity and of being the still lake in which the entire universe is reflected and purified. The entire universe doesn't taint the lake. That's the mystery. Okay. Aura says she only saw the bottom of the card. Okay, I'll hold it here. Are you struggling to see it if I hold it like this? Let me know. It's kind of hard with the light, but it's like, how can I get the light right is my challenge this year, I think. Okay, so we're going to have a weekend of peace, reflection, serenity. We're not going to allow the universe and its phenomena to pollute the lake. There is nothing that can pollute the lake because the lake is primordially pure all the time. There's no way to taint the lake of oneness light. We can't taint it. It's impossible. It is the purifying factor. So let's remember that, and let's be the purifying factor in the world this weekend, today and this weekend. And yeah, Natalie says, there have been times when I know I'm being shown something that I need to do better. Yes, exactly. The reflection goes both ways. You can see if you can sort of perceive the impurities of the world in the lake within, then you know what you need to work on, because whatever it is that you're perceiving as impure is your work in some way. So that's our short bit for today, if that's what you were here for. And otherwise, let's dive into Guanyin practice, and we're going to do Tara chanting. We're going to start, as usual, with 3 prostrations. And our serenity begins now. Let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention. A person, place, situation, or circumstance that will benefit from today's practice. And so today we're holding Natalie, still holding Princess. We're holding anybody who's going through it, right? Mary Beth, anybody who's going through it right now. And let's recite the Four Immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. And let's make our offerings. I read something really funny yesterday. It said, if I'm doing squats, should my knees sound like a goat chewing on a chain link fence? When I get up to do offerings, sometimes that's what it sounds like, or prostrations too. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering to Guanxian and to Tara, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all, and she who saves. Omahum. 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 Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guan Yin, remain until the end of samsaric existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. I had to hide my mala from little Miss Thing because she kept taking it. Let's do 108 recitations of Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha and call that peaceful sandalwood forest into our hearts, or forth from our hearts, because it all really lives in there. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu 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 Re Soha. Om Tare Tu 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 Re Soha. Om Tare Tu 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 Re Soha. Om Tare Tu 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 Re Soha. And the words of Yeshit Sogyo. Wherever there is space, 5 elements pervade. Wherever the 5 elements, the homes of living beings. Wherever living beings, karma and defilements. Wherever is defilement, my compassion also. Wherever is the need of beings, there I am to help them. To the hungry I was heaps of food and all good things, and thus I brought them joy. To the cold and freezing I was fire and sun warmth, thus their joy. To the poor and needy I was wealth and riches, thus their joy. To the naked I was every kind of raiment, thus their joy. To the childless I was sons and daughters, thus their joy. To those who sought a lover I was a loving and attractive consort, and thus their joy. To those who wanted magic powers I gave prowess in the 8 great cities, and thus I brought them joy. To the sick I was their remedy, and thus their joy. To the anguished I was all their mind desired, and thus I was their joy. To those hard-pressed by the punishments of despots, I was the loving friend to lead them to the land of peace, and I was thus their joy. To those in fear of wild beasts, I was a haven, thus their joy. To those who fell into the depths, I was their drawing out, and thus their joy. To those tormented in the fires, I was a quenching stream, and thus their joy. To those in prey to any of the elements, I was their medicine, and thus their joy. For those who could not see, I was their eyes and brought them joy. And for those who could not walk, I was feet, and thus their joy. I was a tongue for those who could not speak, and thus I brought them joy. To those in fear of death, I granted immortality, and thus I was their joy. I led the dying on the path of transference and brought them joy. To those who wandered in the bardo state, I was their spirit guide, bringing them to joy. I cooled the burning heat and warmed the cold of those lost in the realms of hell. Howsoever they were tortured, I changed myself to shield them, being thus their joy. To those who lingered in the land of hungry ghosts, I was their food and drink, and thus their joy. I was freedom from oppression and servitude for those caught in the wordless state of beasts, and thus I brought them joy. Those beings born in places of war, I protected them from strife and brought them joy. I was a truce from endless conflict for the demigods, and was thus their joy. The jealous gods I guarded from their bitter fall, and I was thus their joy. I shielded all from everything that tortured them, and was their every joy. And now 108 recitations of Omani Peme, as we really think about how can we be that peaceful sandalwood forest in the world today for someone who needs it. Omani Peme, Omani Peme, Omani Peme, Omani Peme, Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Omani Peme Hum. 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 And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my blessed teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life prayer for Lama Dechen Yeshe Wangmo. Om Swasti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Jungye and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of Supreme Bliss, Yeshe Wangmo, be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings, so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And we'll dedicate the merit. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May we carry the essence of Guanyin and Tara in our hearts. Om Tare Tu Ture Soha Namo Guan Shiyan Pusa. And we close with a bow to the goddesses, bow to one another, and bow to the inner teacher. And I hope everybody has a really good day and a good weekend. And we will be back on Monday with this practice. Again, I can't believe we're already getting to be almost halfway through the month. And also, I should let you know that on the Goddess Temple app on March 20th, we have an all-day symposium via Zoom called Woman Medicine. It's for members of the app and the temple. So if you haven't signed up for a membership and you've been thinking about it, go ahead and do that. You can become a Mandala member, and then your access to the event is free. And so is a year's worth of classes, rituals, full moons, Sabbats, and crystal classes and tarot classes. So if that's something that interests you, by all means, please do it. And don't forget to drop your counts. I want to add it to our overall count. And all right, that's everything I have to say. Bye. Have a good weekend.